14 is a request for staff, Mr. Yu and Dr. A.
Good. Yeah. We've been before you a number of times. We're in the process of finalizing a number of points and approaches. What we would like is for you to interface with the city manager and authorize the use of us up to 10 hours of staff time for the next 4 weeks to finish our communications, our plans, and a number of, and communications I mean with interested parties, as well as arranging for an upcoming meeting which would involve the block captains and other interested personnel. It's something we need staff's help to do this, and the appropriate protocol is to make the request to the council to then direct the manager.
Now that costs money because of staff. It costs money because of staff. So do we take donations for this too?
No, I can't predict the impact of an earthquake, Mrs. Sterling. So if this is not a public need, then I would suggest you vote against it.
Yes, sir. I support that. I don't have a problem supporting that. Because I've talked to Dave about it. Maybe just if you would bring it up in there, because I was going to bring it up to get council approval anyways. Was basically we are required. There is some requirements as far as SIMS training for elected officials. So if you guys could, cover that in your discussions and bring that back, and that way I don't have to agendize it.
Okay. And just on that, this probably isn't the time. We've passed that a couple times that we're supposed to be trained. One was online and one was here.
Yeah, but I just like to maybe, because that is, I mean, I did that way it's
got it. Wrap it all in
one package. Okay. If you wouldn't mind, that way I don't have to bring it up.
Thanks.
They'll have to have SIMS training.
And I think, again, on this, I appreciate coming forward and getting consensus from the council when you have something like this. And again, this is, in my view, if there is a difference here, it's taking existing programs with the CERT program, the Neighborhood Watch program. You have a council committee that's worked really hard, and I appreciate coming to the council and getting agreement. This is something that's important to the city, and we'll find the staff time to make sure we can provide that support. But especially because it's not necessarily, it's a new approach, but I think it's really blending two existing programs and trying to get some synergy out of that. And with your direction, we'll make that work.
Well, I want to make just one brief comment, and I repeated myself earlier. A project like this, when we're dealing after the safety and the welfare of residents, is the fundamental responsibility for local governments to exist. And those are the kinds of things that we have to do. Now, the sad part sometimes is that whatever we do to educate the public, they may not want to be educated or may not embrace the guidelines. That's their prerogative. As long as this city has clean hands in making sure that we provide every tool available to help them whenever that disaster occurs, then I think it's an issue that it's fundamental to the basis of the city and its tenets for existence. So I would support that as well.
And can I make, before we vote on it, just throw it out here, because I know Ernie will write it down. If I tell him and Mark, they'll bring it up, is that I've been a big proponent of using our PEG fees for things, because that money is there, and that we own station that 24, that may be included in that. You guys think of doing like a video or whatever, not telling you guys how to do it, but it's ongoing.
A PSA.
Because those funds are there for that.
And before we, I'll just wait for my comment of the fire chief and the police chief, because it touches on some of the things we're talking about. If there are no other discussion, please vote.
We'll include the Stafford Act, get going on that.
Yes, they give you some money on those PEG fees.
Where's your motion?
Please vote. Please vote. Please vote.
Motion carries 5-0.
I have a question of the city manager and both the chiefs. We're all very grateful for the rains, but I think what it really does, among other things, it keeps the pots and the flowers in downtown, the village, green, but it also creates a humongous amount of fuel for July and August and September. In view of what happened recently with the disaster in Mexico and Calexico and Imperial County, Do we have any, and I'm sure this is a rhetorical question, what are the plans that we have at this point to start making sure that when those fires occur, that we can immediately take appropriate steps to help evacuate the people through the sense, I'm just a little bit concerned about the people forgetting, and this is part and parcel of the whole thing, forgetting that a disaster is looming in the next few months. And I don't know if you guys can answer it, but
Where are you going to take us?
Obviously, that's what we do. We do planning constantly.
Good.
We look at emergency operations planning. We meet as a region with our adjoining agencies, trying to develop those plans. In fact, at a meeting on Monday where we meet as a regional area, an operating area, and we talk about some of these issues, what's on the plate, so to speak, for upcoming needs. Certainly the city of La Mesa is engaged in that, doing those planning. We have all kinds of communication tools, some of them being reverse 911 or community notification tools with Alert San Diego. So there's a lot of tools in the toolbox that we do use, and it's just a matter of knowing what those are, and when we have a need, as you described, figuring out how to implement those. And
well, Chief, I don't doubt that you guys have all the skills, the tools, and everything else. Without sounding like an alarmist, how can you go ahead and notify the public this is something that may be in the horizon for you? And that's, I guess, what I'm really asking, rather than, I'm not even concerned that you guys are prepared. That's the least of my concerns. You have all the tools, you have all the commitment and everything else. How do we communicate to the public so that it doesn't sound like the sky is falling, that this is a potential that's moving ahead?
education, obviously, is one component. One of the things we are planning is a reminder news conference sometime in May. That's going to have all the typical fire service agencies involved to remind folks that we're entering into fire season, for instance, and that they do the things that are prevention with regard to weed abatement, with regard to making their structures safe, with regard to being prepared to be ready, do the vigilant things in advance before something happens. So we do make efforts to do public education in advance.
And while you're up there, since he brought that up, I think that you're, I think that we're looking at also too. I think that were you talking?
I was just talking to Glenn. No, nothing. I didn't know what item we're on.
Well, he asked a question afterwards, and I just piggybacked on his. Well, yours approved.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's no item.
All right. Sorry. All right. So we were.
My point being, since he brought it up, and I'll just piggyback on it, is that I don't think we've seen what could happen since we brought out 8 fire stations in San Diego every day. That's going to have an effect on the wildland fires. And let's not forget how messed up our state is financially.
Okay,
so
but I mean, Mr. Allen,
can you bring that back? You brought it up. I worry about them paying for stuff.
I brought it up, and again, once in a while, if we're here long enough, I may deviate from the agenda. It's not on the agenda, but I think it was related. I was
very much related to item 14, because we recognize that our staff is professionally trained and very prepared, but our citizens aren't.
Exactly.
And we need to augment the way we communicate with our citizens, and that's what we're proposing, is a combination of neighborhood watch with citizen emergency preparedness.
How about door hangers?
And I think that's a good, there's a good potential marriage of those two groups that maybe.
Okay.
So you guys brainstorm and bring stuff.
Okay, we're not.